We are live. What's up, everyone? Ooh, you guys got a very special live session here going on. So we got a new face. I'm Rose at GY Fitness, and we got a very special guest today, Tony Mo. And then we have Greg on the line. He's actually on the road. Hi, babe.
I'm driving.
Okay, focus on the road. Focus on the road. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we have a really special session actually today, which you guys seen the topic, Confession of a Bikini Competitor. We have Tony, and super exciting. And I don't know if you guys seen our session last time with all the three other ladies with her, and we kind of got a glimpse of what Tony's all about. But today we're actually going to go deeper and get to know a little bit more of her. And so you guys will get to know where she was raised, how she got here in Hawaii. I don't know if you guys know this, but she can talk pidgin. This and then we're gonna dive into how she got into fitness, into competing. What's next for Tony? Is she done competing? Is she done with the NPC? Did she throw that bikini away? So welcome, Tony. How are you doing?
I'm good. I feel like I need to go run to my closet and be like, I'm never throwing my bikini away. I could never throw away my Gisela designs. Let's be real.
So let's talk
That's
about
like throwing away money.
Right?
That is true.
That's
yeah.
expensive.
So, not a lot of people know that, bikinis are super expensive. It could range from $500 to thousands of dollars, actually. So depending on who you go to. Yeah. If you want to go bling out, if you just want to go super cheap, I mean, that's, it's totally up to you, but they are super expensive. What's the most expensive bikini you have?
And you got to keep it, Tony, because, Tony, you have to keep it. You know why?
Why?
Because you never know who's going to reach out to you and ask you to buy it from you unwashed, and that's what they do, right? I mean, I kept all of my bodybuilding trunks from 12 years ago, and I never washed them, and I'm waiting for the one guy to call me up and tell me he wants to buy it for $1,000, and I'm going to mail it to him. So you never know. You got to keep all your stuff.
We're manifesting that for you, Greg.
You got guys out there that like that stuff,
Legit. That is real. Okay, so for bikinis, I actually was super blessed. My first show, my girlfriend Nohea was like, do you have a bikini? And she's actually a figure competitor, and she had previously competed in bikini. So I was able to borrow from her. One of my girlfriends, Veronica, she makes bikinis. So she made me a couple. I've bedazzled my own bikinis, which I highly do not recommend. It is fucking terrible. And when you're in prep, you're hungry, you're high on caffeine, not a good look. Yeah. And then, I
can just see you.
Oh yeah. I'll crack on Monster, arts and crafts scene. But, I actually picked up a sponsorship from Gisela, and so I was just super blessed to have bikinis from her. But, oh man, I had a bikini that I had bought. I don't remember how much I paid initially, and I kept sending it back because I was like, more bling, more bling. So this thing is covered. So I don't know. It probably maxed out somewhere around who knows, 600. But
nice.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna dive into that a little bit more later, but let's dive into telling us about you, about yourself. So where are you from? Where were you raised? How did you end up in Hawaii, on the Big Island, actually?
Yeah. Okay, so I was born in Washington State. I lived there till I was 3. I was mostly raised in this suburb in Southwest Portland, Oregon. Yeah, and then my dad's side of the family is Big Island. So when I was younger, I want to be I was such a troublemaker, but those of you guys who know me still know.
You are a troublemaker.
I know, I still run a little bit on the rebellious side, but it was kind of this situation where I was I gotta go. And so my dad's family, some of his family lived Big Island, and so I moved over there. I actually ended up going to UH Hilo, graduating from UH Hilo, and then now I moved to Oahu. I've been here for almost 2 years now, so which is wild.
How long were you on the Big Island?
What year is it? 2021?
So I think we're in 21.
14 years or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Math is not my specialty, clearly.
Neither I. So how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 brothers and a sister, and I'm the baby.
I see. Well, we see where the rebellious comes from.
Right. I don't know why that is.
Are they here? Are they everywhere in the mainland?
Yeah, a little bit everywhere. So I'll say my youngest brother, even though he's older than me, he's in the military right now. So he's stationed in Washington State and then like Oregon. Yeah, my family's pretty much scattered on the West Coast and then like Oregon, Washington mainly, and then Big Island. Yeah, with some like randoms here and there, but yeah.
So you guys didn't grow up all together then, yeah?
No. Yeah,
okay.
I don't have any full siblings. We're all half siblings, which my mom is watching this. She'll kill me for saying that because she's like, you guys are brothers and sisters, which is true, but yeah.
So what was it like, as a child being a Tony? What were you like?
I have always definitely been more on like the tomboy side. I have like been so competitive my whole life. Like I was always, like people who've known me since little kid days, like I'll meet up with them. They're like, this girl used to beat up boys on the playground. I'm like, fuck. But like, yeah, I was just always like super crazy, like tetherball champion on the playground. Just like anything active really. Like even in high school, like I used to skip school and go to the gym to play pickup games for basketball. So like, even though I was rebellious, like I was always rooted in athletics and sports. So I think to a certain extent that kind of kept me out of trouble. Yeah.
Where did you go for high school? Where'd you go?
So I went to this school called Lake Oswego High School. It is like in this freaking suburbia town, like southwest of Portland. And it was just like, okay, so one of my best friends, Selena, she moved to Oregon and she like tripped out. She's like, I cannot believe that this is where you went to school. It's like a predominantly like white, like upper class high school. My parents definitely like fought for me to go there because they're known to be like very academically prestigious. So it was public school. I went to public school, but they pushed for me to go there. And I like just had so much like, I did not want to go. I think it was actually like my junior year. I got called to the principal's office and both my parents and my principal were there and they were like, we want you to transfer. And so like, that was pretty wild. They're just like, something's not clicking here. So yeah, that's where I went. Those of you who are familiar, like, that's like not, I don't match. And like my school knew that too, clearly, as I had that intervention, so to speak.
You had a very fun, adventurous childhood and high school experience then.
Totally. Yeah.
So how did you end up into fitness?
Okay, so since I can remember, I've played sports. I feel like every kid, I started off with soccer. And growing up in Portland, like basketball is huge. Like Nike, like Portland is the home of Nike and we have the Portland Trailblazers. I mean, like I know there's like soccer teams and stuff, but like that's the team. That's the Portland team. So pretty much every kid I feel like grows up playing basketball and like that was my shit. Like I played competitive basketball throughout high school. I ended up not playing because I was doing rebellious kind things. And then I ended up trying out for the UH Hilo basketball team when I went to college. It was funny because I found out like I made the team. I was on the roster, but I was like so busy just like raging and partying. And they're like, gym at 6 a.m. And I was like, I'm still like drunk from the night before. So that didn't happen. And then I kind of went on this like rebellious stretch, but I always still like made sure I was being active. And then Ala and I started training together, and he was like, "You should compete." And I was like, "Fuck that! Like, no." And he kept writing me about that. And then we went and watched the Paradise Cup.
Why no? What was your initial reaction?
Okay, so I feel like everybody who's not in the bodybuilding world, when they think of bodybuilding, they're like, oh, like boys in manties. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I want nothing to do with this panty man sport, like hard pass, you know? And then, I don't know, I think like, I didn't really know anything about it, to be honest. So then when I went and watched the show, like I said before, like, ego tends to like kind of get in the way, I feel like, especially in the beginning. And we go watch Paradise Cup, and I was like, I can do this, and I can beat all these girls. And so yeah, hair flip. And so then began my crazy adventure into bodybuilding.
Okay, so when did you start training?
Specifically for bodybuilding, I started in 2015. So when Ala and I were dating, we were gym partners too, and he was getting ready for Worlds powerlifting. So we started powerlifting, and I was like, fuck, like powerlifting, like it's cool, you're moving heavy stuff, but I was like, I'm over this. And he's like, okay, let's train bodybuilding. And it was funny because part of the reason why I was over powerlifting was because it was like, these workouts take forever, you know? And then like, little did I know, when you do bodybuilding, like you wake up, you do cardio, then you, hi Shane. You wake up, you do cardio, then you go lift, and then you cardio again. So like all that combined, I'm like, I basically live in the gym more than I did before.
It's like a part-time job. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that when you were training for your first competition then?
Yeah. So I started training I think it was like beginning of 2015. And then I didn't compete until, I don't know if it was March or April of the following year.
Okay. And that was this Stingray?
That was the high intensity. So back in the day, Hilo used to have a show. So that was our Big Island show.
So as we're going through Tony's, bikini competition, let me show you guys how Tony started, actually. Let me show you guys this slide right here. Check it out.
Yeah. So Rose and I were talking about this the other day. Like bikini posing has evolved so much.
Yeah.
Like this is freaking hilarious. And then like the wide stance, like back pose, like they're just trash.
But look at this front pose right here.
Do you remember too? It's like,
so for all of you who doesn't know, this is a classic bikini front pose. So this is how everyone started. I remember when I started with this, I was like, how do you do that?
And then like, I remember they're like, okay, so imagine that there's a square and you want your forward hip to be in the right corner and then your left hip to be in the back corner. And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I just pulled a muscle in my back. Like, what is this?
Who did your bikini?
So that one is actually one that I had borrowed from Nohea, and my favorite color is green. So I was like, yes. That show was crazy. I remember too, like my makeup situation fell through. And so one of the girls, Toddy, ended up like just doing my makeup backstage. Like it was nothing. She does hula. So I think she's used to like stage makeup. She's just like, okay, done. And I was like, okay.
How long did you prep for this 2016 Stingray?
So high intensity, I think I prepped for, I think that was a 12-week. And then it's so funny because I remember like thinking like, oh, I'll never do back-to-back shows. And then like, of course, my psycho ass like always did back-to-back shows because you're already dieted down. You might as well. I think like, yeah, high intensity to Stingray was maybe like another 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, I don't know how long the period was.
This was in Hilo.
Yeah.
This was like a local show?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then you went on to Stingray right after that.
Yeah. So Kakako, when it was Kakako, they used to fly their competitors over to Hilo to try to nationally qualify them. And it was so funny. Like I remember at the beginning of the show, because I don't remember who was the MC, but they're like, oh, Kakako Fitness versus Pens, because all of us trained out of BJ Pens on Big Island, and it was so funny, but it was like Big Island and Oahu, and like that was like my first show experience, and it was catty, bruh. Like Oahu and like Big Island was like butting heads.
But. So how was that first experience for you, stepping on stage? What was the most memorable thing?
I totally just remembered this. So bodybuilders went right before Bikini, and Ala had competed also in this show and decided to do like a somersault on the tile floor covered in baby oil. So yours truly, who is very tomboy and doesn't walk in heels, like goes to walk out onto the stage and like almost eats shit because the whole floor is covered in baby oil because somebody had been rolling around on it. Yeah, so I just like remember that. That was pretty funny. It was just an awesome experience too. Like I have this picture in here, like everyone showed up. Like it was awesome to have all your friends in the crowd. Like that was probably one of the most memorable, like looking back, because when you compete at nationals, you're lucky to have like a handful of people there. Mm-hmm. And then when you compete in like your hometown, like everybody shows up and it's just like, it's awesome.
Yeah. Everybody shows up for support. I mean, even though, you know, they didn't go through the whole prep with you, they were there to cheer you on. Yeah. Totally. So what did you eat after Stingray?
Okay, so after Stingray, I have no idea, but I do remember after High Intensity, I wanted a margarita so bad. I went straight to Cronies and I was like, Swiss mushroom burger and a lihimoy margarita. This is like, and then when you're coming off prep, you drink like one drink and you're bust because you're so depleted.
Yeah. So 2016, Stingray, what was next?
So then actually that November, I ended up going on to the Paradise Cup, which is also on Oahu. I don't even know how I got talked into doing the show, but like this was probably, looking back on it, one of the best shows I've ever done. I like, Ala was prepping me at the time, so he prepped me down for the show. I like loved this bikini. This was the bikini that I bedazzled myself, this black one. And it's like, I mean, you're probably not gonna be able to tell from pictures because they're like from old iPhones, but like the crystals were so scarce.
On the left.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that show was awesome. I ended up taking home a first place. And then I was like, I think I found like my niche. So I decided to prep for nationals the following year. And then, okay, so.
You know what's funny?
What? Didn't you do the show too, the Paradise Cup?
I did. So it's funny that you said the last Paradise Cup in there, because that's what I did. I did the last Paradise Cup back in 2016, and we actually didn't know each other then.
Yeah, and Thailand did this show too. There was like a bunch of us. Yeah,
and then you guys went on to the nationals after that. So.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of funny, like. I don't know how many competitors do this, but like you can drink wine because it's like a vasodilator. Right. So it'll look more like dry on stage. So I remember I drank like this much wine and I'd gotten first call outs. I'd get off stage, Ala and I are like losing our minds. I like drink the wine and I was like, I'm so bust. Like, I don't know if I can get back on stage. Like I was like lit off of like, you know, this much wine.
A little sip.
Yeah, it's so funny. But like ended up coming home with that first place. And then I think that was the show too, where Cindy actually took the overall and then went on to Miami and got her pro card. So that was like, I feel like that was such a like memorable show for Hawaii. Like it was our last Paradise Cup and like there was so many of us like OG competitors competing in that show and we never even know each other at the time. So
I
it was
know,
like,
we didn't. We actually met a year after that. A year after that.
Yeah.
You know what I remember from the show was, you know, my trophy.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh my God, girl, that damn trophy. It was broken.
Okay. So we get back to the hotel and we're staying in this like shitty hotel because like Waikiki is full of those. And I jump up in the air with my trophy. And you know how they're like the top is a lady and she's like holding, it's like, looks like the Statue of Liberty. Her whatever torch that she was holding broke off and stuck in the ceiling.
Oh
so
my
like my
God.
trophy broke off and was stuck in the ceiling of this like old ass hotel. I was like, all right, well, I guess that's gonna stay there.
They were blank. Remember, they were blank. They didn't have any placings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That was funny. Super funny. Okay, so this, and then you went to Ikaika a year after.
Okay. So this was so random. I wasn't even gonna do this show. And then Sep in the right corner, one of Alana's good friends, he trained under Ala that year and he was like, I'm gonna do Ikaikas. And so me being the bold motherfucker that I always tend to be, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do the Ikaikas too. Like yeah, and it's like 8 weeks out. And like if you know anything about prep, like 8 weeks is like not a substantial amount of time to prep.
No.
Like,
but
so anyways,
with the body that you have, with the endurance that you have, with the metabolism that you have, you could totally do it.
so we show up to Ikaikas. I just had this like horrible experience. There was like all these factors. I got stuck in tanning until 2 a.m. I had to be in makeup at 4 a.m. and I'm losing my lid. And Allah's like, you need to calm down. Like your body's gonna change. So like if you get stressed, your cortisol levels will skyrocket and you'll hold water. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what happened. So like my muscle bellies and my stomach just looked like so full. Like you can't really tell in these photos, but like my shoulders and stuff are like shredded. And then I've just got like this like belly. And like this suit color was trash. My tan was trash. It was just like the most trash show I've ever done. And like I pulled off a second place and I was like, I have no idea how that happened, but like I'm not gonna argue about it.
What was the let's talk about the differences in these preps, you know, from the very first one to your second one to the third one. What was the differences in these?
Okay, so I think like the first 3 shows, I was like all in. Whatever I was told to do, I was doing. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So like there's this saying in bodybuilding world, like trust the process. And so that was exactly what I was doing. I was just, whatever I was told to do, I did. And I just trusted that it was going to work out that way. Coming into Ikaika is probably because it was so last minute and because I had done so well so early on. And my boyfriend at the time was prepping me. So I was like catching this little attitude because I was like, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to prep with your significant other, like let alone be coached by them. And so it's like, you know, you kind of have this thing, yeah, trust the process. Exactly. Still trust the process. But anyway, so I was not trusting the process and doing kaikas. And I remember like my weakness is peanut butter. Probably like half the people out there is too. Yeah. So I'm just like fucking spooning peanut butter and like eating it. And so like, not only did I hit those cortisol levels, but like I was screwing off in my diet totally. And so after the Ikaikas and I brought the worst package ever, I actually hired a coach for the first time to go into USA's. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think it's so true with, you know, not listening to your partner as your coach, because I don't listen to him.
Yeah, no.
I hire my own coach to coach me.
Like, you have to live with me, so you'd rather me not have an attitude, so I know you're not going to like put up a fight.
It just doesn't work. I don't know what it is. I mean, some people are just really great at it. You know, they just listen to whatever their partner tells them to do, especially on prep. It's just, but for some other people, it just doesn't work. You just clash.
Yeah. I think it worked for a while. And then like, once you get that initial success, it's like, it's hard, I think, in any sport or life in general. Like once you kind of get a taste of success, it's hard to stay humble. And I think like over the course of the next few years, like competing like definitely humbled my ass.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about USA's.
Hey, so USA's, I met you.
This is the year I met you. You were tanning.
Yeah,
we met Ala. You know, he was waiting outside for you, and we met you there, and that was history.
Yeah. Okay, so this show, okay, so I think in bodybuilding, like you have to embrace suffering. If you are not willing to suffer, you are not going to succeed in this sport. And
if you don't accept suffering, you're not in the right sport.
Exactly. And this prep like tested every bit of everything for me. I hired a coach. She was like, you have so much potential, but like you need to lean out if you're gonna step on the stage at USA's. And I hit this diet so freaking hard. Like I was so depleted. I was so cranky. I just remember like landing in Vegas and I was like, I don't even have the energy to like put my suit on to take check-in pictures. You know, like I was done. We have this joke, like Tylin and All and I, because Tylin and I were being coached under the same coach, and she is, so she ended up competing in figure later on, but she always had to get rid of muscle. So she was always in like an extreme deficit. So she's sitting there eating like, 2 ounces of tilapia and a bite of almond butter. And my coach is like, you need to eat 3 Eggo waffles every hour. And it was like, I was just pounding these waffles, and the more waffles I pounded, like the smaller I got. Like it was just insane. So yeah, that was USA's.
Isn't that amazing? That's amazing.
Yeah. So they gave me the nickname The Machine at USA's. But it was funny because my mom came down, that far picture, that's my mom. And she comes to walk into, so the venue's at UNLV, and she walks into the venue and she sees me and she's like, my baby. And she cries and she's like, you're so small. Like I'm 5'7", my mom's like 5'8", and I was probably weighing in at like 120 pounds. So like, this is like tiny human chronicles. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty sick. I ended up getting first call outs at USA's. Yeah, 24 waffles. Yeah, it was, so we were at makeup and my coach calls and she's like, do you have waffles? And all is like, yeah, we're walking around with waffles. You know what I mean? And just so happens we're at my makeup artist house and she's like, oh, I have this Costco pack of Eggo waffles. And she's like, how many do you need? And like, all is on the phone with my coach. And she's like, the whole box. We were like, what the fuck? And like, I literally ate the whole box. It was disgusting. I was like, I'm never eating waffles again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did you do on this USA's?
So I remember I got first call outs, and I remember walking away thinking I got 7th. And then when we checked the score sheets, it was actually a 6th place. So like,
nice.
Yeah, I was like, that's my first national show. I mean, I like completely died into that prep. So like,
and tell everyone that USA's is one of those prestigious shows where you have literally 50 or 100 girls in one class. Yeah.
It's mental. Like I think the smallest class at USA's is still over 30 people. Like and these are the top physiques, from every state. Because USA's is just USA. Well, obviously fucking USA is hello, but it's a fierce competition for sure. So to like come in that well and like put so much work into it, like it was awesome. And it was kind of like a reiteration for me, like I was on the right track at this point.
And in order to qualify for the USA's, you needed to be top 2 in order to compete, as an amateur to qualify to get into USA's. So, you're going with the best of the best, pretty much, Yeah.
Well, that was a good one.
Yeah. No, this was a good year. This was a good year for you. I think this was like a setting stone into like you were hungry.
Yeah, for sure.
What happened after that?
Okay, so this wasn't a weird year. So I ended up doing Stingray, which is in April, right? Stingray is usually in April.
April, yep, Stingray.
So I trained for Stingray. I ended up taking home a first. I went into USA's, and this was a difficult show, this USA's, because I had been so lean at the previous USA's, and like trying to figure out, everybody's body is different. Some people, I work really well with carbs. Other people work well with fats. So it was like trying to find this combination, like the secret sauce, for what was going to work for me. So we're trying to keep me full. And I just like, looking back, like I hated this physique, but like I didn't hate it while I was prepping. I don't know if that makes any sense. I think like I missed my peak at this show for sure.
Did you peak too early?
I think I peaked after.
Mm.
But it's really hard too. Like a lot of coaches or competitors even like they'll do like the burger before show, and like sometimes that's like works, it's on point, and other times it's just like you get so bloated. Like I don't know what was going on with my midsection. So I think like that was my prejudging was in those two pictures, and then on the far side, my girlfriend Ariella, that's us on the second day, and I'm like way leaner. So it was just kind of a miss peak, you know, which happens. You got to kind of learn your body, and it's hard. Like I still don't really feel like I have it down, and this is 10 shows later.
Right. All about timing. It comes down to a science, basically. You know. Yeah. And every prep is different. Your body
Totally.
changes every single prep. You know, one will work on one thing, and then one won't work the other. So, yeah. So how did you do this?
This USA's?
Yeah, 2018 USA's.
I think this was a 7th place for me. I know it was top 10. It's kind of funny because I've done USA's 3 times, and every time I do USA's, I get first call outs, and they'll call you out, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
I always get stuck on the very end. And for those of you who have competed, like you have your judging panel in front of you. And so like center stage, you're dead on, you know, but when you kind of come out on the side, you got an angle. So it's kind of like trying to find those angles too, because if you just pose like you're straight onto that judging panel, like your whole,
they're not going to be able to see your whole physique. Yeah.
So I always 3 years in a row, I got stuck on that like far right hand side. I was just like, oh God. But so I ended up deciding to push through to go to North Americans, because everybody in Hawaii knows that Pittsburgh is where Hawaii turns pro. Don't ask me why. It's just how well it is. Everybody knows this.
So here you are at North Americans.
Yeah. So this show was crazy for me because this was my first show that I ever traveled by myself to compete. So I didn't have like, Ala didn't fly with me. This was like such an emotional like leaving for me. And then so these 2 girls here that we're flexing with were my roomies in Pittsburgh. So Daniela and Evelyn. Yeah. So that picture of us all flexing actually was on like the NPC homepage. And I was like, what? Like so pumped. So I had never met them. We're all rooming together. And it was just like, it was such a crazy experience. So I flew out there. We're all competing. We've never met, but we feel like we know each other.
Right.
And this was actually probably my favorite, like most, I don't want to say my favorite show, but this was like the show that was the most well run. So if anybody's looking for a national show, I do really recommend North Americans. I believe it's Gary Udit, like puts on an awesome show. It's like so organized. Yeah, the hotel was very accommodating. They had like bodybuilder buffet. They give you extra sheets so you don't have to worry about tan. Like this show is just like on point. But it's so funny too. Like I'm like looking at these pictures and just like, I always make these stupid sassy ass faces, sassy ass, literally like looking at my ass, making like sass. And so like, it cracks me up because like every show that I have, there's like some kind of stupid picture like that. You're welcome.
That'll make it memorable, you know what I mean? You're only on for like 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah. Like moving as slowly as possible. Yeah, so North Americans
is actually now a pro, and she got her pro card at the Pittsburgh. So
see, I told you Hawaii turns pro in Pittsburgh. It's a fact.
Yeah, congratulations, Evelyn. So what was after this?
Universe. Okay, so this show was wild. So 2019 was like the craziest year of my life. Like everyone's like 2020 was terrible. Like this was so challenging. Kind of went through like a series of events. Like me and my long-term boyfriend had broke up, and I just basically prepped my balls off the entire year. For as rebellious as I am, I think I also like to just add fuel to the fire by being very short-tempered. And so whenever somebody like lashes out at me, like I have to lash back. So I actually got got into it and was like, I'm fucking moving out of my house. So I decided to move out of my house in like the middle of my prep.
I remember
So I'm just like out of my mind. So I end up moving in with my aunt, who like always takes me in, bless her soul. And I'm supposed to move over here to Oahu. 2 weeks before I leave, my house falls through. So basically, I have nowhere to live. I'm supposed to move to Oahu. I'm like 8 weeks out from Universe at this point, and like literally like competing is the only thing holding me together at this point. Like when you're going through some shit in your life, compete, because you're not going to give a fuck about anything else. Like all you do is you eat, sleep, breathe, shit, bodybuilding. Like that's all it is. Like this sport like saved me from some crazy times in my life, and it also carried me through some crazy times. So I end up just packing up all my shit into suitcases, and I go on like what I call my world tour of 2019. I flew to Oahu for Thailand's wedding. I end up going to Oregon. I stay at my mom's house. I fly to New Jersey. I go to New York. I went to Vegas. It was just like a wild year. I literally lived out of a suitcase for like fucking 3 months, but Universe was awesome. I ended up taking third place, which was one placement away from my pro card. And like, I was like, I'm fucking turning pro this year, and like, no one can tell me shit. Like it's happening. And so, that was that. Like, it was pretty wild too. Cause at first I was like, oh, I'm not going to compete again. Cause Rose and I were talking about this earlier. If you are in this sport, you need to be able to look at yourself subjectively. Like nobody has a perfect physique, and no one will ever have a perfect physique. So if you cannot look at yourself and know what you need to improve upon, like this isn't the sport for you. And for me, coming out of this show, I was like, I mean, most people are like this, when I cut, like I lose my glutes. So it was just like, I knew like I needed to take an off season and grow my glutes. And actually my dad was the one who pushed me, and he's like, how long have you been dieting? And at this point it was July 4th weekend, and I had been dieting since December. And he's like, do you want to diet again for 9 months, or do you want to diet for 4 weeks and fucking go get your pro card? Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, Dad. Like, obviously I come from a family of athletes, so I'm like, all right, I got to do it, you know?
I remember you texting me after the show, and you're like, holy shit, should I go? Should I do it? Should I just run through USAs? Yeah.
It was really hard because I feel like in my heart, like I knew I needed to take an off season, but like I had already come so far. And so when you go to nationals, make sure you reach out to your judging panel, because like you need that feedback. And basically they're like, you need to come in tighter. I'm like, all right, say less. Mm-hmm. I should have told them say less, because then all of a sudden I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day. But yeah, so then from Universe, I ended up like charging into USA's, and this was like, okay, so this picture in the far left hand corner, I remember I like went out to eat after Universe. Obviously everyone goes out to eat, and I get back to my mom's house because I'm gonna home base there for 2 weeks before I go to USA's, and I was like, I'm fucking huge, I'm bloated, I'm never gonna be ready for USA's. And like that was what I looked like. I was like, seriously, like I'm like a tiny human. Like I remember taking this picture, and like now I look at it and like my abs are literally striated, but like in my head I had indulged and I was huge. But I dropped about 6 pounds in 2 weeks, and I went to the USA's, and I did something new, which was green is like my signature color on stage, and I went with blue. And I was like so stoked. Like it was awesome. My dad was there. I went from third place at USA's to a amazing third call outs at third place at Universe to third call outs at USA's. And like, that's how this sport is. Like you don't know, like you think you're doing good, and like you don't, you know. But this year was interesting for me too, because I had changed to a new coach, and I didn't have a cheat meal for months. But also like he didn't believe in basically like my peak week was pretty much the same as my regular diet, and he actually had us drinking water. And it was kind of cool because usually after I compete, I go through this like weeks of just serious, like bloated, like the day after for like a week. And that picture in the far corner, I'm at a pool party like 2 days post show. This is like so many cheat meals in, and I'm still super shredded. And I honestly think it's because it was still restrictive, obviously, but like I wasn't being restricted on water or salt or anything. So I think because there was still like that influx of certain nutritional aspects, like I was able to maintain a leaner physique for longer. But, yeah, so that was my last show.
Your last show.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened?
So there I was living out of.
I think pandemic happened.
Yeah.
COVID happened.
I actually moved. Okay, so I went from Vegas. My best friend had flown out to Vegas with me. We stayed, everyone's like, only stay in Vegas for 3 days. We were in Vegas for a week. And one day we're walking out of the hotel and I look at her, I'm like, we need to get the fuck out of here. She's like, yeah. So after being in Vegas for a week, what up, Bryson? We ended up flying to Oahu because I was moving to Oahu. And that was like the end of my summer tour, as I like to call it. And I moved over here, and when I moved to Oahu, like I had all these intentions on like competing and like showing face and like being in the local bodybuilding scene. And like, it was, I think like with the move and like with coming out of prep, like I was in such a dark mental place. I mean, I'm always like really energetic and like happy-go-lucky, but like deep down, like I was like not good in my head for like a very long time. And I think it was just like dealing with multiple aspects of life. You know, like I'd been competing, so like I probably was like hormonally unbalanced, first of all. I just moved to like a new place, and I came from Waimea, like country, Big Island, to Kaimuki, so like kind of chaotic, like city, Oahu. So I think it was also like a huge cultural thing. I also think like having gone through a breakup of like a year previously, but being in prep, it kind of masked a lot of like the feelings that had come from that. So I think I was just in a shitty mental place. And then I started to come around and I was like, all right, it's time to FSU and I'm going to do universe and I'm going pro. And I start prepping, and then COVID comes along. And it was so funny because I remember like just watching flight prices, and I'm like, yeah. I was talking to Evelyn because Evelyn wasn't pro yet, and we were like, we're gonna do universe. And I'm telling her, I'm like, girl, the flights are $200. And she's like, what? And she's like, I'm booking. And I'm like, I can't do it yet. And then boom, like the whole world just shuts down. Yeah. And I had started to train under Jeff from IHF, and he's like, I'm gonna be super honest, like I don't think there's any shows that's gonna happen soon. And then like literally the next day, like I don't have a job and like whatever happens. And then yeah, so that was that.
What a whirlwind you had. What an experience. You know, that was a lot. That was a lot. From 2016 to 2019, nonstop, you know? Yeah. So what was the good in all of that experience, you think?
So I think like, as like cliche as it sounds, like in a way, like bodybuilding kind of saved my life. Like I was running them pretty hard. There's definitely like a long period in my life where like I was partying so hard, and it was like you wake up in the morning and you're like, all right, fuck, who do I have to apologize to today? You know, like I was just always fucking insane. Like I've always been like wild, and it was just like put like my normal energy with like substances. It was kind of like a recipe for disaster. And so bodybuilding, you can't party and drink when you're training. Like there's unless you don't want to do well, you know?
Yeah.
So I think in general, like it just really pulled me out of that lifestyle. I definitely like reconciled my relationship like with my dad also. We had like a lot of rough years, and I think because it pulled me out, and then like he was such a competitive athlete also growing up, I think it helps like soothe out our relationship. Also you meet like such great people. Like you will never relate to someone on the same level as someone that like suffers as hard as you know? And
yeah, that's true.
it's crazy too, because like even though it's like a sport where like you're in it yourself and like you want what's best for yourself, like you want to see the people that like you're coming up with do well, you know, like the GY fitness fam, you know, like we're all like a family, you know, and like I want to see everybody do well. And so I think like the relationships you build through bodybuilding has definitely been a positive, and also just like my saving grace also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
look at us from 2017 till now,
Mhm.
Tony and I, we would probably not talk for like many, many, many months. But when we do, we're like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
like no
always
time has
been that
passed.
way, So, and Tony's such a cool person, she gets along well with everybody, I mean, everybody. So that was the good. What do you think the bad is from all this experience?
Oh, okay. Okay, so like prep is like a very consuming thing, which in certain instances can be a positive. Like I said, it took me out of like substance abuse issues. It helped reconcile certain relationships. But like I also missed out on a lot of things. You know, like when you're in prep, you may physically be somewhere, but mentally you're worried about like when your next meal is going to be. Did I bring enough food that I'm going to be able to hit multiple meals at this event? I still need to do cardio. I'm fucking cranky. Like I don't like that girl's socks. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Like when you're in prep, like you're not right in the head. Yeah, like I can't tell you how many meals I sat outside the gym, like eating oatmeal, and everyone's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "If you ask me, I'm gonna kill you," you know. So I think like for me personally, a lot. Like you said, I get along with everybody. I have like a huge family. I have a lot of friends. So like missing out on events or like in a way, there's certain parts of your personality that are repressed when you're in prep because you literally just don't have the energy, you know, like I remember I was training these clients, these two ladies, and they were best friends and they're fucking hilarious. And they were like laughing so hard about something. And I was like, I don't remember the last time I laughed, you know, and it's like straight face but it's like serious. Like the last time you have like having full belly laughs, like that doesn't really happen. You're basically broken down to basic like instinct survival, you know, like when you're low body fat, like you don't give a shit. Like you worried about food basically.
Right,
so
right.
I think that is the negative, is just, it's not balance, I guess, but yeah, I don't know.
I think one of the things that are maybe not necessarily bad, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's
That's very true.
If you're not financially stable, if you're not financially good, bodybuilding is a hobby. So
yes.
It's a very expensive hobby, right? So if you don't have money aside for food, for supplements, for suit, for makeup, for hotel, flights, it's expensive. It gets pretty damn expensive. I mean, if you're just doing a local show, putting aside at least $5 to $8,000 for,
and also,
I
don't give a shit what anybody says. Like you need to hire a coach. Like people who prep themselves, I'm like, you're smoking some good shit and you're probably not looking very good on stage, but like you also need to invest in a coach, you know?
I cannot prep myself.
No, hell no. Some days you wake up and you're like, I'm ready to get on stage, and other days you're like, I look like I'm 14 weeks out, you know? So like you need that third set of eyes, that second set of eyes.
Second set of eyes, or even third set of eyes. You really do. Yeah. Asking a friend or someone at the gym to look at you, you can't depend on your own knowledge or your own vision to prep yourself, really, because you're so flexible. You know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, I can do an extra, 100, 200 grams of carbs and I'll be okay. No way. There's no way. Yeah. You did mention time consuming. It is.
Yeah.
It's time consuming. What about the ugly?
Which part of the ugly? It's funny too, because you say that and I start thinking, and I'm like, I get so white in prep. Like you literally live in the gym and like you do not see, I mean, you see sun when you're driving to the gym and when you're leaving the gym, but like other than that, it's like, I don't know.
Drama.
Okay. There is drama in the bodybuilding world. It's kind of crazy because you think like Hawaii, like, oh, aloha, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but like we have some of the worst bodybuilding drama. Like it's insane. When you go to like a national show, of course you have all those like teams that are drama. Yeah, save the mama or save the drama for your baby mama. When you go to nationals, you have those like high publicity teams, you guys know who I'm talking about. And there's probably drama within those, but I feel like just everyone's on their own shit, like nationally, but locally it can get so catty. I feel like, I think there's a few reasons. I mean, I think it's like a clash in ideas of how people should be trained. Also, no two people are the same. What works for one person is not going to work for another. So like, just because you think that doesn't mean that's going to work for me. We can argue, agree to disagree, but also like, you never know in Hawaii, like who is dating who or who's related to blase and like whatever the fuck. I've been like really lucky where like I never felt like, okay, so there's like a point when like Ala and I were both competing when we were dating, and like I never really felt like insecure about that. But I know like too, like in relationships, sometimes when one partner competes and the other one doesn't, and that partner starts to cut down and they're looking good and they're like gaining all this
attention
and notice, like I know that like sometimes it can make the partner feel insecure. And then I think like on the opposite end, like if you're the one getting that attention, like you're feeling it, and so I think that's definitely a drama in the competition world. I just am like so glad that I am not in a relationship competing right now. Like that just sounds so terrible. Like I feel like too, if you're gonna compete, your partner needs to be either supportive or also be a competitor, because normal people are not gonna understand.
No, they will never understand until they experience it themselves. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you so many stories of my clients who compete and the other one aren't competing, or the other one is very insecure or very, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. I mean, there's relationships where it came to a point where you're going to do the show or our marriage. It's going to come down to that if the other person doesn't understand what you're doing. Yeah.
I think there's also something too, like in my personal relationship where it was like, there was this understanding that prep is not forever, there's people that prep all year long, but in reality, like you are not going to be in an extreme deficit forever. Like it's just not possible. So it's like a lot of issues that you may have in prep, once you start eating like a normal human again, a lot of these issues are going to disappear.
Go away. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think like that's something people have to keep in mind. It's all temporary. There is an end game, and eyes on the prize. Trust the process. All of our corny bodybuilding sayings.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would be your best advice to someone who wants to get on prep, who wants to do a show, a newbie,
Okay, so this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. Do not step on stage right away. Go to the gym, put on muscle. If you don't love training, this is not the sport for you. Like real bodybuilders, real athletes, and for all of you guys watching, and I agree with me, we don't compete because we love to compete. We compete because we love to train. And if you don't love to train, this is not the sport for you. It's not something you just jump into. So my advice would be take some time, lift, see if you even like it, put on some muscle first, because it's bodybuilding, it's not, even though it may appear to be, it's not a beauty pageant. It's a muscle beauty pageant, so that would be my advice.
It's a beauty pageant with muscles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, really, if you don't have the habit of eating clean, going to the gym, at least loving at least 20 to 30 minutes of cardio.
Yeah,
it's
at least. You're lucky and you're blessed if that's all the cardio that you're doing, let me tell you.
Well, I mean, if you're Shane in Ghana and you need to do fucking cardio, then
if you're an asshole, no.
How important is posing, Tony?
Posing is everything. Like, being completely honest, I've definitely lost placement because of posing. I know it's not like most people's not favorite thing to do, but you got to do it.
I hate
practice. I hate posing also.
I think it's harder than training. It's so much harder than training, but it's one of those things where you have to master it,
The other thing too is I feel like as your body composition changes, whether that's like as you lean out or as you like put on muscle, certain poses and angles will no longer work for you. So it's like your posing just evolves constantly because you have to do what's going to match your body. So it's like, there's that aspect of posing too, it's like, oh, well, and like the slightest thing, like, okay, if you do like a slight angle with your toe, it's going to pop your calf out more, like it's such small, like things will make such a big difference.
So little details that you have to remember. Yeah, you're hungry. Yeah, you're cranky, but you still gotta.
Yeah. Smile. Yeah.
Lick the hair.
Yeah. My specialty.
What about suits?
Okay. Suits are everything. Like, you can put in all the work in the world, and if you do not present on stage, it doesn't matter. Posing is part of your presentation, your suit, your tan, your makeup. There's so many suit makers out there, and like what works for everybody might not work for you. There's different cuts of suits.
Colors matter.
Colors. Okay, I'm gonna just say it. Like, please do not wear pastels on stage. Those lights are so bright and they wash out. Like, there's a reason why you see so many blues and purples and reds and these really like deep, vibrant colors, is because they don't wash out on stage. I made a rookie mistake and I wore orange on stage. I kind of looked naked. I wore red on stage once and it was like too bright of a hue. Like, it matched my tan too much. Like, suit color is like so key. But yeah, suits are everything.
What about shoes?
Unpopular opinion, totally just buy my shoes off of Amazon.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know too. Like, I always like the ones where you have to actually strap them in, because in my head I'm like, if I'm like dying, hi Susie. If I'm like dying, I don't want to worry about like slipping in the back of my shoes, because how there's the ones where they don't have like the clip on the back, they're just like open.
Yeah, it's open, just slide. Yeah,
I don't think I could do that.
Well, and plus your heel actually comes up, so it's not touching the bottom of the heel itself. So whenever you do like a tippy toe, whenever you go onto the side, it actually comes up. Yeah, I actually have one of those.
Yeah.
Well, are you done competing?
Oh man, it's so funny. I feel like the longer I'm away from stage, the more I'm like, I'm never competing again. But
no, don't say
I know, like every once in a while I get the bug. It's really funny because I recently started boxing and it's like a whole nother world. Like, to be at kind of like the top of the food chain in my sport and then like be a true beginner is like such a humbling experience. But it's like really funny too, because as a competitor, like my body composition is so much different. When I first started boxing, like I had to really walk away from like those heavy lifts, like 5 days a week, because it will slow you down. But I don't know. It's interesting. I was talking stories with Angela one day and she was like, oh, you're just like me, because she got really into jiu-jitsu. And she was like, and then one day I just like got this bug, and I was like, I want to compete again. And she's like, maybe that will be you too. So I mean, I don't want to like write it off, but as of right now, I don't have anything in mind. I remember reading this post. I think it was what is Bumstead's sister's name? Sister? Why am I having a brain fart on her name? Chris Bumstead's sister. Melissa, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I think it was her. She had made this post and she's like, one day you'll hang up your heels and you won't know it at the time, but that will be like the last time you ever wear them. And I remember like reading that at the end of my 2019 season and just like lost my shit and like cried. And I was like, I feel like competing is going to be a part of me forever, you know? So, I mean, like, there's that part of me where I am bodybuilding, but then there's like the other part where I'm like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you know, just like Angela said, she did get into for many, many years, right? I mean, when was her last competition? It was years and years ago. Yeah. Wow. She's prepping for Pittsburgh Pro. So,
she did Hawaii Pro, I think was the last one. We need to bring that show back.
Yeah, that's right. That was the last one. Yeah, but it has been a while. So maybe. Yeah.
We'll see.
So I guess then, you know, what's next for Tony is what? MMA? You get to the ring?
If Angie was watching this, she'd be like, we're getting her in the ring. So I don't know. I'm definitely like, I'm not saying no to the idea, but
right.
I have a lot of work to do. There's people that have been training for this their whole lives, you know? So
of course, absolutely.
Gotta stay humble, know your place.
Yeah.
But still train like you want to be the best. You know what I mean?
Always.
Every sport.
Every sport. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us or any other advice before we get into our speed Q&A?
Okay. Actually, yeah, I was thinking about this too, because like I always have these conversations. I have like a lot of close friends that are competitors, and something that I feel like has been coming up a lot is stay humble in this sport, you guys. Like, I mean, any sport, but especially in bodybuilding, this is a very small community and arguably a very underground community. So like the way you hold and present yourself is gonna carry, that reputation is gonna carry on with you. So people like me, I've done 10 shows and I'm still not a pro, you know, but I'm not sitting here talking shit on the judging panel and like saying like I was robbed and it was a stacked class, you know. Put in your time, put in the work. You're in a subjective sport, and stay humble, you know, like watch what you say. Don't ever put anything in writing. Something my dad used to always tell me, but it's true. Just keep your head, keep your cool, stay humble. That's it.
I love it. I love it. All right. You want to get into our speed Q&A? Like super quick, okay? Don't think about it.
I'm just gonna like randomly like regurgitate.
Don't think about it. I think we already know the answer to this. Favorite color?
Green. Food. Ice cream.
Ice cream, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know why, but I thought maybe you. Oh, I guess so. Yeah, black tap.
Yeah, black tap.
The best gym in Hawaii.
Iron Hawaiian.
Really?
I gotta stay true. Yeah, I love my Iron Hawaiian.
Hey, loyalty is everything.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm on Oahu, but like you know, if I'm home, Big Island, we gotta go 5 Mountain Fitness. So
there you go. There you go. Favorite beach.
Okay. On Oahu, probably tracks, but at home, I love Kiholo.
High heels or boxing gloves?
Soup. We gotta go boxing gloves.
For now.
Yeah. Ask me next week. No.
Right hook or uppercut?
Oh, uppercut.
I can see that. What's your favorite workout exercise?
Like lift or in general?
In general, I guess. Maybe a favorite body part to train. What's your favorite day?
Fucking leg day. Let's go. Yeah. Yep.
I was
I
hoping
don't
you
know
would.
why I love like RDLs for some reason. That's like my shit. Hamstrings all day.
Things. iPhone or Samsung? You have a Samsung.
I got a Droid and it is a Motorola. Nobody more stubborn than somebody who has a Droid and will switch to iPhone. Hit me.
Oh, well, that was fun. Thank you for
Thank
letting us get to know you a little bit more. I mean, I'm sure this is not going to be the last time we're gonna.
You're gonna be stuck with me. Yeah, Samsung. I know Droid. Like everybody who has iPhone, it's so funny because they're like, "You're turning the message green," and I'm like, "Well, good, because that's my favorite color."
Yeah, because we Apple, we're blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yes, thank you
for all of your messages and comments. Thank you, and thank you, Tony, for being an open book today.
Yes, thank you. It was my pleasure. It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, brings back memories, good memories, great memories. Yeah. And I guess so. That's it. And I'm sure that Tony will be back here for another session. I don't know, maybe we'll do like a rant or something with Tony. She's always going off on rants. This girl.
I am always on a rant about something.
We're gonna pull a list of rants and we're gonna put Tony in here. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see y'all later.
Thank you.